Designed for running adventures on a variety of surfaces, the Kahtoola Exospikes footwear traction are at home on ice and snow as well as on dry, rocky ground. 12 ultra-durable tungsten carbide spikes provide an impressive amount of grip when you need it and stand up to rocks and other abrasive trail features when you don't. Exospikes will inspire you to follow the trail less traveled, even when it's covered in ice. For more information, visit Kahtoola.com.
Hi everybody, welcome to the Run, Try, Bike Fireside Chat on our Tuesday regularly scheduled time. Today we're going to be talking to Austin Corbett, who is over at Kahtoola, who is an advertising partner of us, and we really want to dive into Kahtoola and the handful of different visions and missions that they have, from sustainability to philanthropy, and some of their recent events and some of their friends at Kahtoola. And so Austin will be joining us here in a second. But before I bring him on, want to remind you that you can follow us on Apple, Google, and or Spotify podcasts for any of our previous episodes that you may have missed. In addition to that, you can get to our website at runtrymag.com and go to Fireside Chats and get the YouTube versions, or use our YouTube channel, which is also at RunTryMag. And then finally, if you're looking for links to our podcast, our YouTube channel, our newsletter, we have a website, runtrymag.com/links. Go there and all the important links that you need are there. Plus all of our amazing stories are accessible to you on our website as well. So don't forget any of those things. So while I wait to get Austin on here, want to remind you that there is an opportunity on the bottom. Click to ask questions of Austin that we'll make sure that he gets. It'll come through on a question mark for us, or comment, and we'll get that over to Austin as well. But we're pretty excited to invite him on here to chat with us about himself as well as Kahtoola. And perfect timing. Hey, Austin, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jason. I'm really excited to talk with you.
Yeah, appreciate you taking the time. So one of the things that we love to do here at Run, Try, Bike during our fireside chats is kind of get a feel for how the conversation is going to go by asking one simple question. And if the answer is to my liking, it'll be a great conversation. If it's not, well, we'll just trudge through it anyway. So the question is, pineapple on pizza, is that a yay or a nay for you?
Oh man, you did pick a very controversial question, huh? I'm going to go with yay. I'm a pineapple on pizza kind of guy.
That's it. I need Ohm here to handle the rest of this interview. Too bad. I'm a New Yorker, and so traditional pizza, no pineapple whatsoever. As a matter of fact, don't put anything on it. Like, just let me eat the pizza.
Okay, that's fair. If you're from New York, I understand. Very specific about your pizza.
Very. And we'll wait till the rapid fire at the end to talk about what other people consider pizza that I certainly don't. So now that we've got you joining us with this conversation, we want to know a little bit about Kahtoola. But before that, talk to us about who you are and your background, and then what you do for Kahtoola before we dive into Kahtoola specific.
Yeah, sure. So, my name's Austin. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona. Now living in Flagstaff, Arizona, where Kahtoola is based. I really have gotten into trail and ultra running in the last few years, and really kind of put a big focus on that. And that's what kind of helped me get involved with Kahtoola. And before that, I was just a hiker and backpacker and photographer. And it's kind of morphed into more of the light and fast kind of trail stuff. So I've been living in Flagstaff for about 7 years now. I went to Northern Arizona University and got my degree in photography. And then I've just been sticking around since and loving the mountains out here. And I actually just had my first year anniversary at Kahtoola last week. So.
Awesome.
Good timing, yeah.
Perfect timing. Well, congratulations on celebrating 1 year anniversary with the company.
Thanks. Yeah.
So what do you do for the company?
So specifically, I do events and community engagement. So I'm part of the marketing team with two others on the marketing team, and so I'm usually the one going out to trail races, trade shows, all that kind of stuff. Anywhere that we are hosting or sponsoring an event, I'm the one there. And also the new race director for the Kahtoola Uphill, which I think we might talk about a little bit later. But That was my first foray into race directing.
So for those of for the audience who is joining us live, and for those that will listen to the podcast or watch the YouTube video later, talk to us about how Kahtoola got started. Give us some information about Danny, the founder of the company, and who Kahtoola is as in general, an umbrella statement.
Yeah. So the company was started by Danny Giavalle. He's still the owner. He was actually just in the office earlier today. And he started the company over 23 years ago. And it was inspired by him and an incident he had on a climbing trip in the Italian Dolomites. So he was, I'll leave the year out because I'm not exactly sure what year it was, but I know it was in the 90s, I believe. And so he was out on a climbing trip with his brother in the Italian Dolomites, and as they were coming down from the climb, they were kind of some ice, and they just had their climbing shoes on, and so not the best shoes for ice. But anyways, he slipped and fell and slid. I think it was about like 400 meters or so, like quite a ways. And I mean, he kind of thought he might die. It was kind of a near-death experience, and he kind of, had a really visceral, scary experience. And luckily, he made it out alive, and actually was a little banged up, but for the most part was okay. And so after that trip, he kind of was inspired to create something that people in the mountains could use to be safe on snow and ice, and specifically with the purpose to be packable and lightweight and to be used on flexible footwear. So the KTS crampons was that first product that he created, and it's evolved a lot since then.
So I happen to be a marketing professor at the college level, and we talk about products all the time. Was there not a competitor in the marketplace already when Danny decided to start Kahtoola, or did he see those other products and thought, I can do better?
I think there maybe have been, at least with the crampons, there's like technical mountaineering crampons, but the KTS crampons were the first crampons to be made for flexible footwear. So that basically means you can use the crampons on a regular hiking boot as opposed to like a technical mountaineering boot that aren't flexible. So he invented the flex leaf spring bar. And that just basically is a bar in between the front and back of the crampon that allows you to get some flexibility. And so that was just kind of the inspiration that you wouldn't need special technical boots to wear these crampons. So that was kind of the difference.
Yes, and it's awesome, right? So you essentially created a new product for an industry.
Yeah.
From a near-death experience, and it's unfortunately you have to go through that to decide that you need something, right? So over the course of 23 years, then the company has evolved. What other products have they introduced to the marketplace that they saw a need for then?
Yeah. So most people know us for the micro spikes. So that kind of, started, was inspired from taking the KTS crampon and kind of creating a product that's more user, like a general user that isn't going to be necessarily in doing big mountain, ascents and stuff. So the micro spikes are a stretch-on traction product that stretches over your shoe, and then it has, stainless steel spikes on the bottom that gives you traction, and they're really small and packable. And from there, it evolved into more of specific uses where we have our nano spikes and exo spikes that are more for road and trail running, but they can really be used for anything, from walking to, if you are going hiking on trails and stuff like that. So that's evolved more into really specific uses. And then we also have gaiters for hiking and running as well, and mountaineering, or like non-technical mountaineering, we like to say. So that's kind of, the gaiters are one of the newer products in the last few years that we've evolved into. But like I said, most people know us for micro spikes, but we're trying to, expand that as well.
So not to give away any secrets, but any new products on the horizon that aren't gaiters or spikes, trekking poles?
So No, not that I know of, actually. I know the R&D team is always tinkering. I'm sure they have plenty of ideas, but nothing, in the near future. I got some few new like spikes coming out. Like we redesigned the nano spikes. Those will be coming out in the fall, and we have some few other projects that I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but those will be coming hopefully within the next year or so. But yeah, so some exciting stuff on that end.
I'm gonna have to work on my journalism question so I can get that out of you for the future.
Yeah, I don't know. They might kill me if I let that out. Yeah,
So, I mean, we've been partners with Kahtoola and running some marketing to our readers and followers for a while now. And one of the things that we always look for in partners is people who share our vision and mission, that there's a spot at the starting line for everybody. And you guys definitely support that too. But you guys go beyond that a little bit in terms of your vision for the planet, right? Talk to me a little bit about the sustainability component for Kahtoola and why is it important to the business?
absolutely. That has been a focus for a long time, and in 2019, well, actually, sorry, I should say we took all of our 2019 carbon offsets, and we were able to completely offset, or sorry, I should say carbon emissions, and we were able to offset those completely. So we were able to last year be completely carbon neutral. So basically, that just means everything that we emitted from shipping to our headquarters to everything, we were able to offset that. And so that was kind of a big, project that was towards the, and most recent things that we've been doing. But overall, we put a lot of effort into that because the planet is just really important to all of us at Kahtoola, and you know, we think that everybody deserves to live in a planet that, isn't affected by climate change, and we're going to do everything that we can to help that. So, yeah, so I mean, with that, so we do the, carbon offsets. Our offices are solar powered. We invest in other companies or other organizations, I should say, that are focused on protecting the planet, and some really specific ones. And we are a 1% for the planet business. So that's there's a lot of different moving parts in that. I can't speak to that too much because it's so involved, but that's essentially, the why we do it.
For those of you that are just joining us, my name is Jason Bahamundi. I'm the founder and one of the co-owners of Run Try Bike. I'm being joined by Austin Corbett, who is the communications and community specialist over at Kahtoola. And we're talking about the business and everything that goes on with running a business in the endurance sports world, above and beyond what you see on a website or on a social media platform. If you have questions for Austin about their products or what they do, there's a little question mark on the bottom right-hand side. Tap that, and we'll get that question over to him, or just type in the comments, and we'll make sure we address that for him as well. One of the other things that we see on the website, on Kahtoola.com, Austin, is the philanthropy side of the business. Give us some insight into that, because you don't really see a lot of companies promoting that on their website. And I think it's really intriguing and smart, to be honest with you. So what is that, and what is it that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so again, that's also been a really big focus for us. Since Danny started the company, he always wanted to be able to give back to the world, and he was really inspired by his travels to other indigenous mountain communities around the world, and so that has expanded a lot. So it used to be kind of specifically focused on indigenous cultures, indigenous mountain cultures. So it used to be called Kahtoola for the People. We recently changed the name to the Kahtoola Philanthropy Program, and that is just to kind of integrate it all together to say that it's not a separate piece of Kahtoola, that it is Kahtoola, that this is who we are, this is what we stand for. And so we basically have several different grant application periods throughout the year, and any nonprofit organizations can apply for these grants. And there's really not much of a guidance on how much they can request. We do give them some caps, but we kind of basically take that internally. We talk with all the associates that want to be involved at Kahtoola. So anybody that works at Kahtoola is allowed to participate. And then we go through each application and we decide and vote as a team on who we think deserves to get that grant money. And so that's just our way to kind of just give back to the world. It's expanded a lot more into outdoor community and environmental focus as well. So basically any organizations that fall within, indigenous cultures, environmental, and then outdoor recreation is basically kind of what we focus on or what we prefer to, support. And yeah, I mean, it's just another way that we can really, just like I said, give back to the world and do something good with our, more than just selling products, basically.
That's awesome. So is it driven by Danny top down, or are employees able to say to Danny, hey, I think we need to do X or Y or Z in that scenario?
Yeah, so interestingly enough, I guess I should have, this is a good topic to bring up because Kahtoola is run on an associate model. So basically that means that all associates at Kahtoola are on the same level of management, I guess you could say, or power. So there's really no levels of management or director roles or anything. So the point of that is to kind of keep it, everybody feels like they're involved and has the same amount of power and has ownership and all that. And so I'd say the idea of it was definitely, started by Danny, and he, spearheaded it for a long time. And then now we have one of our other associates, Betsy, that kind of is the one that does all the heavy lifting of actually organizing it all and communicating with all the organizations and giving all the other associates the information that we need to be able to choose who we're going to support.
That's pretty cool because, in the way most organizational structures are, right? It's pyramid, right? Where there's one person at the top who's essentially directing, and companies will always say, oh, we listen to our associates or we listen to our employees, when the vast majority of the decisions are still being made at the top level. So if you guys have a horizontal org chart, for lack of a better term, then clearly everybody's able to contribute. How do you think that helps the company grow in the long run by having a horizontal organizational chart?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this has been my first experience with that type of model. And, I think it's effective because it does give us all ownership and accountability for what we're doing. And you can't really depend on somebody else to make the decisions. So I think, it creates a strong, focus and effort from each associate because, we are all really accountable for what we're doing. We can't, say, oh, well, they made the decision, my manager told me what to do. It's kind of each of us making the decision, each of us contributing equal amounts to the success of Kahtoola. So I think to me personally, I think it just feels awesome to just feel like, oh, wow, okay, I'm not just like another cog in the wheel. I'm actually, making a difference here and doing things that are helping the company and people appreciate it and all that. So, yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I don't know why this hit me, and I should have asked earlier, but is Danny, he was in the Dolomites in Italy. Is he European and started the company here in the U.S., or was he over there on vacation and just, that's where it happened?
He was just over there on vacation. He's actually born and raised in Flagstaff. So I like to say like Kahtoola was born and raised in Flagstaff basically. So we're still located in Flagstaff. Our headquarters are here. We have some associates kind of spread out around the country and 2 in Germany now. But for the most part, most employees are based in Flagstaff, Arizona.
Do you find, do you guys ship internationally?
We do, yeah.
And do you find that there's a bigger audience for you in Europe, or is the audience still mostly US based?
Right now, it's mostly US based. That's going to be a big effort for us to do, is growing into the European market. And there's definitely potential there. We're still a fairly small company, so it's just taking the effort to grow that. So we're working on it. But yeah, I would say mostly it's most of our business is from the US right now.
What's been the one thing, this is, it's always a difficult question when you say one thing, but what's been the one thing that in your year at Kahtoola that you've just been like, man, I can't believe I get to do this?
You know, I would say being able to like incorporate my running, like my passion for trail running and ultra running into my job. I mean, there's just a lot of times that I get to go to these events and I get to go on runs when I'm not working and I'll be in beautiful places. Like I'm going to work Hard Rock in July, in the San Juan Mountains in Colorado. And like, it's just, I like, wow, I get to like go work our booth for, a handful of hours during the day, and then I got to go play in the mountains the rest of the day. So I mean, that and just being around the community, along with that, being around the trail and ultra running community is so cool. I've gotten to meet so many awesome people, and that's pretty special. And yeah, I'm just like, what, I get to call this work? Like, I'm like, I'll take it, So that's definitely one that stood
I
out.
we just got to talk to friend of Kahtoola, Peter Mortimer, last week, and we talked about Uray, in the San Juans as
Yeah.
well. He didn't mention Hard Rock, so I'm not sure if he's racing it, but I will see him at the Canyons at the end of April because he's racing the 100 miler as
Oh, cool.
well. Did you hear the story of how Peter and I are somewhat connected, by the way?
No, I haven't.
So in 2016, he raced Coldwater Rumble, and so did I. And I tease him about this a little bit because at that race, he finished fourth, only 11 minutes ahead of me. And I finished fifth. And what's crazy is like our paths have diverged so much, right? He's out here racing UTMB, winning all of these events. And I'm on this side now, like, man, I'm kind of scared about the Canyons coming up. And he's probably thinking, I'm thinking I'm going to win this thing. 11 minutes, 7 years, 11-minute difference between the two of us 7 years ago. It's crazy.
Oh yeah, he's an animal though. I mean, I went on a run with him like a few weeks ago, and he was with some buddies, and he was the one saying, "Oh, you guys are gonna drop me," like I'm slow, I haven't been running, and we were all just like trying to just hang on. So he was just dropping us left and right, and we are all dying. So I mean, that's just he's just too humble.
Our paths crossed again a couple of years ago when I climbed up Mount Eldon at Cocodona, and he had already finished the race. I think he finished second or third at Cocodona that year, and he greeted me when I got to the aid station, and he says to me, what do you need? And my response to him was to get off this fucking mountain. Like, I want to finish this race. Like, I'm done. Get me out of here. And he's like, no, sit down and eat. And so we just, we talked about that yesterday. So look, if you've got Peter Mortimer as a friend of Kahtoola, then obviously the company's doing things the right way, right?
Yeah, he's a really solid guy. Yeah, that sounds exactly like something he'd do. Yeah, he actually had Javelina 100 I ran in October, and same thing. He was grilling out at Jackass Junction, and he stopped by. He's like, "Oh, what do you need, man? I got like all this, I got mac and cheese and all this stuff." And he's like handing me food. So yeah, he's a solid guy.
So that was your first 100, right?
That was my first 100. Yeah,
So I remember we talked about this months ago. How did it go?
that was great. Yeah, I actually had a really awesome experience, and I grew up kind of right on the other side of the mountains there, so it was kind of like kind of my hometown trails. So yeah, I had an awesome experience. Had a bunch of family out there, and my girlfriend paced me for one of the loops, and yeah, it was a great day. I was really happy with it. I mean, it's still 100 miles, so it hurt, but overall though, it was awesome.
So have you hit the register button for the next 100 then?
Not yet. Just ran Black Canyon 100K like a month ago, I think. Yeah, about a month ago. So I don't know. I'm running Boston in a few weeks, so switching up the gears to road and then I don't know. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what to do. I was just talking last night with my girlfriend about that. I don't know because she's running Cocodona in
Okay.
yeah soon, in a few weeks or 5 weeks or so. So I'm just gonna be crewing and pacing that, you know, yeah, not sure yet what's coming.
Have you been out there for that event
Yeah,
yet?
for Cocodona.
Yeah.
Yeah, I volunteered to do the live stream the first year.
Okay.
I actually followed Michael Versteeg up Eldon,
Okay.
filming, and then last year Carrie also ran Cocodona, and so I paced her and crewed a little bit as well. So yeah, I've totally fallen in love with that race, and it's just such a cool event. I would highly recommend anybody to check it out. It's pretty special.
It's a neat way to see Arizona for sure. Like, it's a really neat way to see it. And the difference in the environment, right? Starting at Black Canyon City and then finishing up in, going through Sedona and Flagstaff. It's like being in two different worlds without having to get in a plane to do it,
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely. I know that's the beauty of Arizona. I mean, it's yeah, it is really you kind of get to see all the different climates of Arizona in that race. So yeah.
So we've been talking about a handful of events. You mentioned that you're now the race director for Kahtoola Uphill. So give us some insight into what that race is, because I've seen the pictures. It looks like a blast, but give us some insight into what that is.
Yeah, so the Kahtoola Uphill is in it. This will be coming up in 2024. It'll be the 17th year, and so this has been going on for a long time, and it's a way to get the local community together to kind of have a different type of race than I think most people are used to, especially in Arizona. And for those of you that don't know, Flagstaff is 7,000 feet in elevation, and the highest peak in Arizona is 12,600 feet, which is Mount Humphreys, just right outside of Flagstaff. And so that's where the ski resort is, called Arizona Snow Bowl. And so we host the event there. And so the race is an uphill race. And so that basically just means you go up the ski runs and then back down. And so you can do in our race, you can ski or you can use traction, and obviously, use our fuel traction. You don't have to, but that was kind of where the inspiration came from, was to create an event of our own that people would use our traction. And so there is three distances. There's a fun climb for the kids. There's the midway climb, which is about 3 miles total. And then there's the Agassiz climb, which is the long one, which is about 3.5 miles, but it's about 2,200 feet of climbing. And so that's 3.5 miles round trip. So, you get 2,200 feet of climbing in about, a mile and 3/4 or so. So it's different. It's pretty brutal. Like I said, you can ski or, run/hike. And, we've gotten, it's Flagstaff, so we've gotten Jim Walmsley race last year. We had Rob Carr races every year. Jeff Browning was out there this year, so we get a handful of local legends out. And most importantly, though, we do it for charity. So we raise money for Friends of Camp Colton, which is a local nonprofit focused on outdoor education experiences for young kids in Flagstaff and the surrounding areas in northern Arizona. And this year we raised the most money we've ever raised through the event. It was over $75,000. So
wow.
yeah, so we were pretty excited about that. This was the biggest year by far. We had about 390 people that registered, so it's grown quite a bit, even in just the last few years.
And so now you're going to be race directing 2024. Did you do that in 2023?
I did race direct in 2023. That was my first, time at the event. So, I had a lot to learn. So it was more of a learning experience, and
Learning
but
hit the ball out of the park with $75,000.
well, it's a huge team effort, and Ari, who is the executive director at Friends of Camp Colton, she's a huge help too. And so, it was kind of more checking the boxes and, just following through with everything, rather because I'm not the one creating the race, so it's kind of all set up. But yeah, I'll be race directing in 2024 as well. So, and that's in February.
So is there other events that you guys are either putting on or looking to put on to kind of maybe have one, in the summer versus the winter in February?
Not at the moment. We've kind of discussed a little bit about possibly expanding the event, like some more uphill events, just because we feel like that's kind of neat. It's a niche, unique thing that we can use our products for, or people will use our products. And so, not that that's the focus, but it's just, I think more that it's unique and interesting. And so that would be probably a while down the line until we actually, follow through with anything on that. But it's always fun to think about that kind of stuff.
Do you know if anybody submitted their time to fkt.com?
I don't know, actually. Not that I know of.
That'd be a heck of an FKT to own, running straight uphill, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's nuts. Yeah, some of the guys and women too, they're out there just crushing. That's not my kind of race. That's all I'll say. I'm not the uphill kind of guy. I'll do it, but I'm not fast. So, yeah.
I'm thinking I'm in Phoenix, so we're about 1,100 feet, right, in elevation, and going up to 7,000. So one, there's a lack of oxygen, and then there's running straight uphill. Like neither one of those things combines gives me any hope for having a good day up there.
Yeah, and the race starts at 9,000 feet, so you're going up to like 11,000 or so. So yeah, it only gets harder as you go up.
I mean, I went up and over Hope Pass at Leadville, and that was enough of a oxygen depletion, let alone trying to run up that thing.
Oh yeah, I know.
Is the event, so like when you go up and over Hope Pass, right? You've got switchbacks.
Hmm.
So are there switchbacks on the Kahtoola uphill, or is it literally straight vertical?
No, it's just straight vertical. Yeah, so I mean it's a groomed ski run. So I mean we do it after hours, after the regular ski run closes, and then it starts at 5 p.m. and yeah, you just go straight up. I mean however you want to go, but you know, fastest way is probably a straight line. So yeah.
Okay. So, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm right, I think I saw images of people that are dressed up in costumes and having a blast with
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's honestly, the competitive nature is fun, but I would say, 95%, are people that are just out there to have a good time. And, yeah, they're dressed in costumes. I had a costume. Like, that's a big factor of it too, is the fun. We really, it's a fundraiser. Like, nobody's winning money. They get some cool little prizes and stuff, but, overall, it's really just for a good cause. And the cool thing is too, it's really local. So I mean, it's a cool event to just. It's rare that many people get together for an event. That are all. Most of them are from Flagstaff. I would not all of them. We get a few people traveling, but I would say most of them are Flagstaff. So it's just cool. It's really fun event.
So before we get to our rapid fire questions, I wrote down three words that I want you to touch on because I think they embody and exemplify what Kahtoola is all about. And I wrote down safety, outdoors, and everybody. What do those three words mean to you personally and to Kahtoola as an organization?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously safety is a big one because that was kind of the inspiration of our products, that started, and more specifically, with the spikes and stuff, because nobody wants to be falling, on the ice, like, and that can happen just walking around your neighborhood, or that could be in the mountains, and either one is not good. So that's a big part of it, is safety to get people where they want to go and they can feel confident and they don't have to worry about slipping. And yeah, essentially it's just we want to offer that to everybody, that they can have these experiences walking around their neighborhood or going up a mountain, whatever it is. We want them to feel safe and confident.
So outdoors and everybody, is that something that you guys believe in? Like, we want everybody to get outdoors, and this is a product that can help you do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, part of our mission too, is we want these products to be for everybody. There shouldn't be any, we don't want there to be any barrier of entry. We want just everybody to be able to use these products and benefit from what they can offer you. And, I do a lot of the social media and I get to see how many people, like, we get such awesome messages from people that are just saying like, oh, these completely changed my life. Like I used to hate winter and now I love it because I can go out on my runs or I can walk the dog or whatever and I can just feel good and I'm not gonna slip and bust my butt. And so, and I mean I've done it, and it's not fun. And so and like yeah, the everybody thing is obviously really important to us. We try to be really inclusive, you know, to all types of people, body types, cultures, like everything. And that's, the products are obviously anybody can use them, but it's also just a value of Kahtoola as well that, with going back to our philanthropy program that, we're using it for indigenous cultures and underprivileged, people or whoever it is that, may need a little more assistance or whatever, that they don't get the opportunities that everybody else does. So that's just, a big focus of ours as well.
Awesome. Before we get to the rapid fire, one thing I do want to ask you about, because you mentioned it again with the philanthropy side, is there a deadline for grant applications, and where can nonprofits go to find the application to fill out and submit to Kahtoola?
Yeah, so there's 4 different grant periods each year or application periods. And the next one, I believe, closes on March 31st. So coming up in the next like 10 days. Or well, I guess depending on when you're listening to this, but and you can also find all those dates on our website. So yeah, it's basically if you go to our website, you can go to I believe it's under who we are, but you'll see a philanthropy tab. Click on that, and then it'll give you more information, kind of a background, and then how to apply. And the application process is fairly quick and easy, from what I've heard of compared to other grant applications. So, we encourage everybody to apply, and, we also are happy to offer partial grant funding, if we can't commit to the entire request, and we're happy to do that. Part of it, or we've even had a company that this year reached out to get microspikes for their group, where that they take kids out on outdoor experiences and all that, and we donated a bunch of microspikes so they could do their winter hikes and stuff. And so it can be as simple as that as well.
That's awesome. Makes me, as the founder and owner of Run Try Bike, to be partnered with a company that's doing that. And so for everybody who's interested in the grant, if you're a nonprofit business, it's Kahtoola.com there's a philanthropy button underneath there, and it's literally the first thing you'll see. And they've got their spring, summer, and fall, winter cycle deadlines on there, and a big apply now button. You can't miss it. So make sure you join that part of it. Thank you for that information. So now are you ready for the hard-hitting journalism that we like to bring here at Run Try Bike?
As long as there's no more questions about pizza.
Pizza, you kidding? So are you a fan of Chicago-style pizza?
Yeah. I mean, I would say I'm a fan of every type of pizza. I don't discriminate.
But isn't Chicago-style pizza really nothing more than a tomato soup bowl? Come on.
I think you're just trying to get me in trouble, Jason.
Yeah. I'm trying to limit the sales of spikes to the Chicago, Illinois area.
Also, yeah, my girlfriend's from Illinois, so I got to be careful too.
Chicago pizza all the way then.
Yeah.
Has she heard of, or have you heard of then, Detroit-style pizza?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I don't think I know what it is.
So like I mentioned, I'm a New York City kid, so New York style pizza by far. But Detroit style pizzas, I really enjoy it. So it's a square pizza, right? And it's baked with cheese on the outside, so the cheese like gets crusty against the crust. And I would say it's pretty damn
okay. Good. All right, I'll have to try it.
You'll have to check it
Cool.
out. So we love candy here at Run Try Bike, and so we always ask good candy questions. So is candy corn a candy, or is it nothing more than wax with sugar over top of it?
I'm going to say the latter, wax with sugar over top. I'm not a huge fan of candy corn.
There are very few people that are,
yeah,
by the way.
I was going to say, yeah, that's low on the totem pole for Halloween candy for sure.
Throw it in the garbage.
Yeah.
Peeps. Is Peeps a candy, or is it nothing more than a marshmallow covered in dust?
Oh, man, that one's a little trickier. I have some fond memories of eating Peeps, I think. I might be on board with the Peeps, more so than the candy corn.
So get this. We've asked this question of everybody. I think this is our 47th episode. And a handful of people have told us that the best way to eat Peeps is when they're stale.
Huh.
It's like,
okay.
To make them even worse? Like, I don't get it.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. It's been years since I've had a Peep, so I can't say.
Good for you. Keep it that way. So we're talking about marshmallows. How do you like your marshmallows on the open fire? Like slightly tan brown, or like black crispy charcoal?
I kind of like them pretty dang crispy. Because then they're super gooey inside, and you put the graham cracker in chocolate, and it's just like a gooey masterpiece.
You like licorice?
Oh, yeah.
So are you a red licorice or a black licorice fan?
Red, for sure.
Red for sure.
Yeah.
Twizzlers, red vines.
This is like a debate in my family. That's a tough question. I might go Twizzlers. I think I'm a Twizzlers guy.
I'm a Twizzlers guy too.
Nice.
Especially off, and then you make a straw out of it. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Cadbury eggs, yay or nay?
I don't know if I know what that is. Wait, what are those?
Peter knew what it was immediately because obviously it's British.
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's an egg, comes around Easter time, and when you crack open the chocolate, the sugar is designed to look like an egg yolk. So you have the yellow part and then the white part.
I don't think I've ever had that. Sounds interesting, though. I'll have to try one.
It looks awful though. Like there's something about it. Like it's a chocolate egg that all of a sudden is like looks like an
It
egg.
just looks
Like,
wrong. Yeah. Yeah. That does sound kind of gross.
are you a cake guy or a pie guy?
Ooh.
Which do you favor? You could be both.
I might go pie. I mean, I love cake
Favorite,
too, but yeah.
favorite kind of pie?
Hmm. Say apple.
Apple.
Yeah.
What are your key lime?
What's that?
What are your thoughts on key lime pie?
Oh, I could take it or leave it. I don't
Really?
know. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh, it's my favorite.
Really? Yeah.
Cake side, is red velvet cake an actual flavor, or is it just chocolate cake with red icing, red dye?
I like red velvet, so I'm gonna go with that it's real cake.
50 here. This conversation is going to be going downhill quick. What's your favorite type of cake then?
Oh, I'm simple. I like just like vanilla cake with like just some good icing, as
Yeah,
long as it's like nice and not
yeah,
dry, I guess.
yeah. It's got to be.
Exactly. Well, I was trying to hold off from saying moist, but you said it, so
Nobody wants to eat cardboard with icing on it.
it's true.
Do you like barbecue? Like not grilling, but like barbecue.
Yeah,
So the
definitely.
U.S. has a lot of barbecue arguments. Um, what's your favorite out of these three? Because I know there's more. North Carolina, St. Louis, or Texas?
Oh man, I don't know. I mean, I couldn't really say. I'm Arizona, so I don't even know. I'm not that experienced in barbecue. You know, we
All right,
like our. I don't know. I don't know what we eat in Arizona, but
so I'll help you out. North Carolina is mostly vinegar-based sauce.
okay.
St. Louis is dry rub, and Texas is like moppy wet.
Hmm. I'm gonna say. I think I like the vinegar base. That's, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I was vegetarian for many years, so that doesn't help
Yeah.
my knowledge either.
What's your go-to recovery food after a long run or race?
Hmm. One that always first comes to mind actually is pizza. I don't know why. It's just like filling and hearty. Try to eat healthier usually, so lately it hasn't been that, but um, it's usually not specific. It's kind of all over the place. Kind of, I guess, whatever's around.
You don't have to shout out the event, but what's the worst aid station food you ever got? And after you ate it, you were like, "What is this?"
Oh God. Well, it's not. I'll say two because I think one isn't technically a food, but I remember I was doing a trail race and it was actually my first ultra, and it was a hot desert race in Phoenix, and I don't like pickles, but I was cramping, so I asked for some pickle juice, and I took a shot of it, and it was like hot because they didn't. It was like a remote aid station, and I was just like I like almost threw it up. I was like, oh God. I was like, I'm good. That's all I needed. But then I think those like boiled potatoes with just like salt, I'm not a fan. They're just
Man,
so boring. Yeah.
I raced Lake Sonoma a couple of years ago, and it's a great event. But it was so hot. It was the first time they had the race in April, so it was so hot. It was like 100 degrees out there, and I got to mile 37 aid station, and they have all the regular stuff. And I was like, I'll take one of those square peanut butter and jelly things. But the thing must have been sitting in the sun from the moment the gun went off, that it practically was like toasty and hot. It was awful,
Oh God.
so bad. So it's like your pickle juice. I was like, oh, at least
Yeah.
you're done with it, you know?
Oh yeah. And I mean, yeah, if it hits you wrong in the wrong part of the race, it's just like the worst thing you could imagine. But we just keep trucking, right?
All right, last few questions. So when you're out running, are you listening to music, a podcast, or nothing at all?
I mostly podcasts, I'd say. Not every run though. Like long runs, I almost never listen to podcasts or like anything. But usually just the day to day, like daily, weekly, boring runs, I'll throw in a podcast usually. But when I'm out actually in somewhere I really enjoy being in, I try to like just soak it in and not, you know, tune out with the music or podcast, but that's just personal.
Outside of the Run Try Bike Fireside Chats is your favorite podcast to listen to? Who else are you listening to?
Um, you know, I always love Dylan Bowman's podcast, the Free Trail podcast. That's a good one. I think he's been doing a really awesome job with a lot of you know, that whole space, and it's a lot of trail running stuff. But I'm trying to just think what I've been listening to lately. My girlfriend's like obsessed with the Armchair Expert, like Dax Shepard. So we've been listening to a lot of that. And then the Single Track podcast too. That's a great one. More trail running stuff.
Are you more of a book guy, a TV guy, or a movie guy?
I'd say book. I try to read most days if I can squeeze it in, and yeah, I've been getting in some good books lately. So
recommended reading for our listeners?
Um, well, fitting actually. Right now, I'm reading Running While Black. Blanking on the author's name, but it's a pretty well-known book, I think. And yeah, it's just a really interesting perspective from a black woman who is, who got into running and just how that's, been a struggle to feel welcome in a community that she doesn't feel like that is made for, for black people. So it's been a really interesting perspective and a lot of like just good, things for understanding how that is as a, for somebody like me, I'm a white male, and so it makes you think a lot differently. So I'd highly recommend that.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes too.
Yeah.
Very cool. So just to wrap it up, tell us where we can find Kahtoola outside of the website and obviously here on Instagram, and where you guys are going to be, if you're going to be doing anything big coming up.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like at Kahtoola on pretty much everything. It's a pretty unique name. So,
what does it mean?
And, oh, that's a good question, actually. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that. It means directly in Tibetan.
Okay.
So that was, I'm not exactly sure on the like full story on how Danny picked that, but like the company was inspired by like kind of Tibetan mountain culture and, his experience in the Italian Dolomites. And so I think he just felt like that word connected, that, to our products will get you to go directly where you want to go kind of idea. So, yeah.
Awesome. So Kahtoola.com, at Kahtoola on all the major social platforms. Austin, thank you so much for joining us. It was enlightening to learn more about the business and where you guys are headed and, cutting it up with you about racing and stuff like that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. You guys have been a really great partners since we've, joined on with you guys and actually got to go out for a run with Owen the other day in Flagstaff, and we got to catch up and, just want to say, appreciate everything you guys are doing for the community, and yeah, we're all thankful, and I'm sure many listeners are as well. So keep up the good work.
Thank you. For those of you who are joining us recently, because a lot of you just did, this full conversation will be on our Instagram feed here in a moment, as well as on our website and YouTube channel by Thursday. And if you want to listen to it on your next run, it'll be on our podcast, on all major podcast platforms on Monday of next week. Thank you very much, Austin. Chat with you soon.
All right. See you, Jason. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.